Hello there, my name is Artie, and firstly, Happy New Year. It sure has been a year. Bit better than the last two, but overall, 65 out of 100. Anyway, this year I played quite a few games, thanks to Prime Gaming and free games on the Epic Games Store, not sponsored by the way, as well as a few Steam games I actually bought with money. I've managed to rack up over 40 games across all my libraries. Anyway, this year I thought I'd try something new and try to review every single game I bought this year. Pretty much. Oh, and please don't bully me in the comments, these are all my opinions. Here we go. Okay, I know this isn't 2022, but I'm counting these as I bought all of the following games for Christmas and, thoroughly played through them in early 2021. So, let's get started with... I made a whole video on this incredible game, but here's a TLDW. Inscription is an awesome card battler where you have to sacrifice cards in order to place other cards. Throughout the game you learn more about the mysterious characters and the history of the floppy disk the game is on. It's super fun and sometimes really makes you think about the cards you're placing. It has a brilliant ambient soundtrack composed by Jonah, Senzel, a breathtaking story with some awesome final moments and awesome stylized graphics. 94 out of 100. Definitely started the year off with a bang. Oh boy, I really wanted to like this game. I'm a huge fan of the Escapists and I like sandbox games, but the Survivalists was very much of a letdown. The basic gist is that it's a sandbox survival game, in a similar vein to Don't Starve, but it's really, really boring. I don't know what it is about this game, but I can never really get into it enough to actually finish it. It just seems very generic and undeserving of being associated with the Escapists. One of the only very good features about the game were monkeys, which you can find in the wilderness and train to do tasks for you. Nice graphics, some cool ideas, but overall boring gameplay. 25 out of 100. This is the Survivalists, but good. It's a roguelike multiplayer sandbox survival game with awesome stylized graphics, a very cool atmosphere and fun gameplay. Probably not the best game when you're playing it alone, but if you have a few good friends with you, it's a lot of fun. A solid 68 out of 100. Developed by the same people as Don't Starve Together, Klei Entertainment, this one is a space colony sim. I absolutely suck at it, but despite that, it's loads of fun to just goof around and try to make a somewhat functional moon colony. I do need to watch some tutorials, as I'm not even past the first stage yet, in my 30 odd hours of gameplay. Overall though, very fun, great art style, goofy sound design, and some cool ideas. Easily 80 out of 100. Ladies, gentlemen, everyone in between, it's another Klei game. This one's a bit of a departure from the other two, being a 3D parkour platformer, but it's probably my second favourite following ONI. In this one, you've got to jump across random obstacles strewn across the floor, which is lava, in order to get to the end of the level. There's a heap of different stylized areas you can jump around in, including your basement, the supermarket, and a playground, and it's generally super fun and very satisfying to play, with pretty nice graphics and alright music. 76 out of 100. This one's pretty much the same as the Escapists one, but with improved graphics and animations, new maps, a revamped level editor, and local and online multiplayer. I think I prefer the original, mainly because of nostalgia, but at the same time the sequel has a lot of things over the first one. Nice new style, smooth gameplay, nice touch with online multiplayer, and some cool new prisons to escape. 69 out of 100. Alright, we're actually into 2022 now. Let's get started with the best game of all time. Okay, all jokes aside, this game is not very good. It has subpar graphics, poor controls that you can't change without the game breaking, awful drifting, no controller input, and no multiplayer, not even local. It gets a 9 out of 100 because it's Garfield and it has some decent maps. Garfield Kart's sequel, however, fixed a lot of complaints I have with the original. With improved graphics, better control schemes that are easier to change, controller input, and online and local multiplayer, it's surprisingly good. I don't think it adds many, if not any, new maps, but because of all the improvements, it gets a solid 58 out of 100. Personally, I prefer Sonic Racing. Yes, 2 Garfield kart games were the only things I bought in January. Was it a waste of my money? Absolutely, but here's something that wasn't a waste of money, mainly because it was free. God damn, is this game good. I got it when it was free for a limited time, but I totally paid the $30 price tag. To paraphrase my already existing Steam review, Plunder Panic is a brilliant PvP platformer with a lovely piratey coat of paint and an absolutely banging 8-bit soundtrack by Kyle Busch. It's got nice graphics, super fun gameplay, especially with friends, and, as previously mentioned, a breathtaking piratey soundtrack. An easy 92 out of 100. Fun fact, I've still yet to finish one of the games that I got in March, and as you may already know, that game is... You know it, you love it, it's the game I still haven't finished playing on streams. In Town Mind is a pretty spooky horror game where you play as my boy Desmond Wales, a therapist who's been trapped inside some weird drugged up world, presumably by the best character, Franklin. I haven't finished the game, and I'm actually only about halfway through, but from what I have played of it, it's an absolute blast. Nice graphics, cool story, fun gameplay, and lots of scares. 89 out of 100. I got Dauntless when there was a free VIP sale thingamajig going on the Epic Games store. The game itself is free, but, you know, you got to have the microtransactions. Anyway, Dauntless is a semi-open world multiplayer game where you and your friends travel to a bunch of islands to try and kill these awesomely designed giant monsters, which I think are called behemoths. Anyway, it's kind of like a boss rush as there aren't many smaller enemies you'll be taking on, but the game is super fun, especially when you start progressing and upgrading your gear. Overall, lovely graphics, great monster and weapon design, and super fun with friends. 87 out of 100. This was a month I was really excited for over on Prime Gaming. Just so many cool games. Also, my favourite video on the channel came out this month. Okay, guys, please don't lynch me in the comments, but Oblivion is not that good of a game. I think it's mainly down to the fact that I'm not the biggest fan of the fantasy genre. I prefer more sci-fi and post-apocalypse stuff like Fallout, but it was generally just pretty boring to play. I tried really hard to get into the series, starting with Arena, then skipping to Oblivion because I thought it'd be better, and while it was better, it wasn't great. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy the couple of hours I played of it, but I just couldn't get myself to play anymore. Sorry guys. Good graphics for the time, music that's better than the game itself, iconic voice acting.
I heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night. Wait a minute, let me do that one again.
But ultimately not for me. 50 out of 100. Again, don't lynch me. I know people don't really like this game, but I actually really enjoyed it. Granted, I've only played about 10 hours of Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare 2, which people seem to prefer, but I don't really get why people hate Battle for Neighborville so much. It's got improved graphics and sound design, bigger maps, and an overall better and longer single-player campaign, which is what I play rather than multiplayer. I think Garden Warfare 2 is overall a better game in general, but in some ways I do prefer Battle for Neighborville. Lovely graphics, great single player campaign, and cool characters. 84 out of 100. I played the first Monkey Island game back in 2021 when it was free on Prime Gaming, but Monkey Island 2 is what really got me into the series. Compared to the first one, the game is longer, funnier, harder, and overall just significantly better. And in terms of the special editions, Monkey Island 2 has graphics that actually look nice. Lovely graphics, new and old, amazing music, incredible story, generally good puzzles, excepting that damn monkey wrench. Easily 93 out of 100. If LeChuck's Revenge didn't really get me into point-and-click games, Paradigm definitely did. It's a point-and-click set in the post-apocalyptic Eastern European country of Cris, I think I'm saying that right, where you play as a failed experiment who's being chased down by a corporation run by a mutant sloth. It's probably one of the funniest games I've ever played, and while the puzzles could have been a bit harder, it had a great art style, brilliant voice acting, and an incredible atmosphere. 94 out of 100. I bought this game when I was going through my Walking Dead phase. It's basically an interactive, story-oriented adventure game set in the same world as The Walking Dead. If you don't know what that is somehow, it's zombies. It's loads of zombies. Anyway, I've only played the first season all the way through, but that was absolutely brilliant. Great graphics, breathtaking story, and brilliant characters. 86 out of 100. April was a big month, especially when compared to May, because this month I only played This game is amazing. Some would say even better than Monkey Island 2, and in some ways I would agree. It has a better art style, voice acting, Murray, the best character, and a great atmosphere. I'd say that LeChuck's Revenge is slightly better in terms of writing and puzzles. I laughed a lot more in that one and was more invested in puzzle solving, but so as not to infuriate another fanbase, I'll give Curse the same score as LeChuck's Revenge. 93 out of 100. And now it's time for another pretty big month, partially thanks to Prime Day giving me 20 odd games, most of which I'll never play. Here we go. Ah boy, this one. Escape is quite infamous for being the worst Monkey Island game, with its less than stellar graphics and famously ridiculous puzzles. I mean, seriously, how was I supposed to know that to get into the bank you have to look at a manhole cover, read the 3 names, go to the prosthetic limb salesman, who by the way is blind, tell him a story using the 3 names, get him to give me prosthetic skin, which is apparently a thing, stretch said skin over the aforementioned manhole, and use it as a trampoline to jump into the bank? Seriously? Anyway, it's got some bad puzzle design, but the voice acting and writing is actually really good. I'd give it a 70 out of 100, but thanks to monkey combat, it's getting a 63 out of 100. I'm a big fan of the Kingdom series. I got Kingdom Classic the day it became free, grabbed Kingdom New Lands when that was free, then felt bad that I'd basically stolen half the game, so actually bought 2 crowns. Anyway, all of the Kingdom games are basically roguelike tower defense games, where you need to build up a kingdom and protect your crown from these little gremlins called the Greed. 2 Crowns has multiplayer, bigger and more worlds, incredible pixel art, seriously some of the best I've ever seen, and a nice ambient soundtrack. I give it a solid 81 out of 100. Got this game when it was free on Epic Games and played a solid 5 to 10 hours of it before suddenly getting very, very bored and never playing it again. It's a semi-open world Metroidvania type game where... actually, I don't really know what the story's supposed to be. That was one of the reasons I stopped playing. It's got a cool art style, being stylized after a homemade diorama, but honestly, that's one of the only things going for it. I'm sure it'd be good if I played more of it, but I just can't bring myself to do so. Maybe it's just because I'm not the biggest fan of Metroidvanias, but I give it a 45 out of 100. Got this on the first day it was free on Epic Games and gave it a play. It's got a cutesy art style and some cool graphics, and it's quite fun when you're playing with friends, but it's really boring when you're not. Really the only thing that keeps me playing is free rewards on Prime Gaming. Anyway, Fall Guys gets a 67 out of 100. Hue has a really cool concept, and to be honest, it's a game I really need to finish. Basically, you can change the colour of the background, allowing certain things to appear and disappear, allowing you to solve puzzles. For example, if there's a blue box that's blocking my path, I can turn the background blue, which essentially gets rid of the blue box, allowing me to walk through it. Awesome concept, cool art style, 70 out of 100. Here's another game with a cool concept. After getting hit by a truck, you make a deal with Death, who agrees to bring you back to life if you can do everything manually for a day. You've now got to try and blink, breathe, walk, and more, all by hitting certain buttons on your controller. It was cool, but kinda lost me halfway through. 65 out of 100. This one's a point-and-click-esque mystery game where you, as a detective, learn about this alternate dimension called the Dark Side, or something. I need to play more of this, but from what I have played, it's got pretty nice pixel art and some cool puzzles. Another 65 out of 100. With another big month of games over, we can finally tone it down a bit with a few less games. Starting with... Tales gets a bad rap, I'm not gonna lie. It's probably because Escape wasn't the best, and Tales is also 3D, but unlike Escape, Tales has nice graphics and good puzzles. While the writing is a little worse at times, Tales introduces a lot of new characters that are well written and well defined, and overall, it's a pretty solid game. Definitely not the best Monkey Island game, but not the worst either. It gets a 70 out of 100. This one's actually super fun. In Republic Commando, you play as a clone trooper of Delta Squad, and you have to issue commands to the rest of your squad in order to get through levels. For example, you can issue a command to one member of your squad, appropriately named Scorch, to make him blow up any doors blocking your path. Scorch is my favourite character. Anyway, Republic Commando has awesome level design, great characters, and lots and lots and lots of droids for you to kill. 74 out of 100. And now, yet another big month, thanks to loads of good stuff on Prime Gaming. Here we go, starting with... I got this when it was on sale for dirt cheap for its 9th anniversary, and boy am I glad I didn't get it when it wasn't. Payday 2 is a heisting game. I thought I'd love it, just like I love an old Roblox game based on it, Entry Point, but it turns out it's just another one of those games that's great with friends, but kinda mid when you're playing it by yourself. Nice graphics, cool mask designs, creative heists, fun with friends, but yeah, kinda boring by yourself. 53 out of 100. Now this is a cool one. The remastered version of a real-time strategy classic, StarCraft. This one is basically a sci-fi RTS. I actually played this just before making the current most popular video on the channel, an aka my childhood on LEGO Battles, which is actually quite similar. Anyway, StarCraft Remastered has great graphics, awesome music, great unit design, and lots of cool levels. 89 out of 100.
Insufficient Vespine gas.
I really wanted to like this game. I'm a fan of open world RPGs and I love Egyptian mythology, but beating up innocent civilians gets pretty boring after a while. I think there's a main quest that you're supposed to do, but I wasn't paying enough attention. In hindsight, actually doing so probably would have improved my experience. From what I did play though, it's got nice graphics and a cool deserty atmosphere. Because it did get a bit boring though, it gets a 65 out of 100. And here's another game I really wanted to like. I'd consider myself somewhat of a Lord of the Rings fan, but having a whole game set entirely in Mordor just wasn't for me. When I play an RPG, I need at least a bit of variety in the locations, so Shadow of Mordor wasn't for me with its consistent dark atmosphere. That was what it was trying to achieve though, so I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Also, I really like the combat. It was very cool. Shadow of Mordor gets a 70 out of 100. This wasn't a big month in terms of the amount of games, but it was a big month for me, mainly because of... I was so excited for this game and pre-ordered it about a week before it came out. I dedicated the entire day just to playing this one, and I must say I was not disappointed. Some Monkey Island fans will tell you that this is the worst game in the series due to its different art style and more subjective ending, but I don't get why they don't like those things. I won't go into the ending for obvious reasons, but the art style is great. Sure, it's different, but it adds a fresh coat of paint to the series, one that I feel like was definitely needed. Some people expected the art style to be more similar to the original, maybe even with pixel art, but I feel like that just wouldn't have been great. Anyway, rant aside, Return to Monkey Island has great art, spectacular voice acting, a great story, challenging puzzles, and an ending that I thought was actually pretty good. It gets a 90 out of 100. Another addition to a classic here. I bought Game Pass just for this because I wasn't paying the ludicrous $45 price tag. In retrospect, probably a good idea. I love Slime Rancher 1, it's probably one of my favourite games of all time, and it was one of the first games I ever played on a computer. Anyway, I got this one and was somewhat disappointed. While it has improved graphics and, a whole new area to explore, there are only a few new slimes, and the map could be bigger. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, however, as it is in early access. Overall, it's still a really good game, but as it stands currently, I'd only give it a 70 out of 100. I played this one on Game Pass after a friend of mine highly recommended it to me, but I couldn't really get too far into it before I got a little bored. It's pretty cool, and I do want to play more, but at the time I had games that I wanted to play more than Psychonauts. From what I've seen, it has a cool art style, great voice acting, and awesome level design though. 68 out of 100. I believe this is the month I got the most games in, mainly due to it being my birthday at the start of the month. Anyway, let's start off with... I grabbed this when it was free on Prime Gaming for Fallout's 25th anniversary and didn't go in with high expectations after what I'd heard since its release. I was pleasantly surprised when I booted it up and it didn't immediately blow up. Eventually I did end up uninstalling it because god damn does it take up a lot of space that I needed for my ever expanding captures folder. Good graphics, not too many bugs from the 20 minutes I played, and some cool features. Multiplayer's not really my thing, but Fallout 76 gets a 60 out of 100. I'm a big fan of Sea of Thieves, and I'm also an introvert, so when I heard about Salt 2, a game being described as single-player Sea of Thieves, I couldn't be more excited. Then I booted it up and realised why single-player Sea of Thieves wouldn't work. I really did want to like this game, but the entire world just seemed really plain without anyone else on it. Combat was just kind of basic, and the missions didn't enthrall me enough to get me to keep playing. I ended up refunding it. Mid-range graphics and pretty boring overall. 35 out of 100 just for the pirates. The game is in early access though, so I suppose it could improve. Get to the Orange Door is an arcade-style roguelike first-person shooter with an awesome Vaporwave-esque graphical style. It's not the kind of game that you're going to play non-stop for half a year, rather one that you'd pick up and put down at will. It's fast-paced, cool-looking, and lots of fun in short bursts. Plus, it's still in early access, so there's lots of room for additional features and improvements. Get to the Orange Door gets a 76 out of 100. I played the demo for Pop Goes Arcade back when it released and loved it, so when I saw this on Steam I knew I had to get it at some point or another. It's mostly the same as the demo, but adds a few extra features and a new expansion. Overall, nice graphics, a cool jump scare in there, fun turn-based combat and some boppy tunes. 83 out of 100. This one's a banger too, and one I reviewed over on Content Unavailable for a Thing of the Week. To paraphrase that review, the whole gimmick of the game is that you walk around in these beautifully constructed, fully LEGO environments, building certain elements out of LEGO to solve puzzles. For example, one of my favourite puzzles in the game is where you have this monkey statue and a beam of light. You have to build a tail for the monkey statue, then the whole model will rotate 90 degrees and you have to make sure the tip of its tail touches the beam of light without letting the tail break on any of the rocks surrounding it. Anyway, it's definitely worth its expensive price with its amazing graphics, beautiful environments and great and challenging puzzles. 90 out of 100. I got this one because I heard it was similar to Terraria, a game I have played and loved, and Stardew Valley, a game I haven't played but apparently I'd love. Anyway, I haven't played awfully much of Core Keeper, but from what I have played, it's very fun. It has really nice pixel art and bouncy graphics, and I do mean bouncy. Cool enemy design, fun bosses, and is surprisingly relaxing to play. 86 out of 100. Brutal Orchestra. Now this is a game. This is another one that was featured on my Thing of the Week over on Content Unavailable, so again I'll paraphrase that review. Developed by the same person as Swallow the Sea and Perfect Vermin, it's Natalia, Brutal Orchestra is a turn-based strategy RPG set in the strange but oddly beautiful lands of Purgatory. A friend bought this for me for my birthday, so huge shout out to him because I love this game. It's the perfect mix of weird and well-written characters, wacky sprite design, black comedy, and inventory management. And when paired with its breathtaking soundtrack, composed entirely by Publio Delgado, it's just a generally incredible game, an easy 97 out of 100. Also, it was published by the same people as LEGO Battles, just thought I'd put that one out there. And we're finally approaching the end of the year. Let's start off with... Now, technically, I bought Fallout New Vegas back in 2021, but I got the Ultimate Edition on GOG thanks to Prime Gaming in November, which was a lovely excuse for me to play this brilliant game again. I could go on for hours about how good of an RPG New Vegas is, but at the same time, I really don't want to edit that, so I'll just really summarise. New Vegas has the best story of any Fallout game, with it being about the war between the New California Republic and the slave army of Caesar's Legion. When you, a Mojave Express courier, get shot in the head following one of the best one-liners in video game history.
Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
You have to track down the man that shot you and eventually decide the fate of the entirety of the Mojave. While it doesn't have the best graphics and has a lot of it bugs due to it only being made in 18 months, it has an incredible story, great characters, and it's loads of fun to just shoot random people. 97 out of 100 again. In this one, you play as a police officer who has to go undercover to try and put a stop to the crime wave happening in LEGO City. If it weren't for New Vegas, I'd call LEGO City Undercover the greatest open world RPG of all time. Now, it's probably the nostalgia talking because I had this on my Wii U many years ago, but it's just so much fun not to do any of the main missions and instead run people over in a stolen car. If you play it right, it can basically be LEGO GTA. Anyway, great graphics, pretty good story, very funny, and generally heaps of fun. 87 out of 100. Here's another super nostalgic one. In Scribblenauts Unlimited, you have a magic notebook which you can use to summon pretty much anything, and you need to use this notebook to solve puzzles across the world. Now, I had the mobile version of Unlimited when I was young, but decided to get the PC version for a variety of reasons, the main one being the Steam Workshop support and the object editor. Using these, you can create new objects which you can use to torment people in a variety of creative ways. For example, I made the Llamanade, which when you throw it at someone causes a nuclear explosion, then summons a flying evil llama. What fun! Great art style, fun puzzles, and just so much stuff to do. 89 out of 100. And so, we've finally arrived at the last month of the year. Here we go. Well, I've had the mobile version for years. A friend decided to buy me the PC port of the game, and my god am I grateful. BTD6 is a game where you've got to defend yourself from an army of balloons, called Bloons, by placing down dart-throwing monkeys. It and all of the BTD games before it are absolute classics, and BTD6 only expands on the already existing formula of popping balloons by adding new heroes, upgrades, and more. Brilliant cutesy graphics, very satisfying, pretty good soundtrack, and lots of fun with friends. 90 out of 100. So, a different friend bought this for me when it was on sale for like 45 cents. It is interesting, and not very good, if you couldn't tell by the title. Anyway, it's a first-person shooter, although that title is a bit of a stretch, where you basically have to get from point A to point B without dying. Speaking of dying, when you kill an enemy, they turn into a floating skeleton. It is very cool. I'm pretty sure it's an asset rip though, because almost nothing fits together. Factoring in its mildly racist undertones and excessive bugs, I'm giving The Last Hope Trump vs Mafia a solid 10 out of 100. The only reason it's not getting a 1 out of 100 is because I played it in a cult with some friends and it was funny as hell. Oh boy. This was certainly a way to end the year. Heatstroke is developed by the same person as Brutal Orchestra and was a game I pre-ordered almost as soon as it was announced, although calling it a game is a bit of a stretch. This isn't me insulting it, by the way. Heatstroke was literally advertised as something that is barely a game. Anyway, you're in this car with a wonky steering wheel and you have to keep correcting it so you don't drive off the road. Pretty easy. While you're doing that, you also have to type out an entire short novel. Did I mention you also can't save and only have about 12 minutes of pause time before pausing becomes completely ineffective? From what I've heard, the game takes about, 6 to 8 hours to complete, depending on your typing speed, and it's 6 to 8 hours you can't do anything other than play the game in. You want lunch? Too bad. Write the f***ing book. Anyway, knowing the developer, this game was made this uncomfortable to play for a reason. One reason probably being that it's a tribute to a very similar old game called Desert Bus that was actually unreleased, I believe. I'll stop ranting now though. Heatstroke gets a 65 out of 100 because I find it very funny, really like the concept, and find the story you're typing very cool, despite its obvious flaws. It is definitely nothing I could recommend to you with a clear conscience. And now for the awards ceremony, where I'll be giving awards to a whole bunch of different games that have been mentioned in this video. Let's change the atmosphere up a bit. And hey, why don't I hand it over to someone I feel like is a little more suited to hosting. Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, introducing your host, Remus Official.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Artie B's Things of the Year. I'm your host, Remus Official, and I'll be guiding you through the vast array of awards we have in store for you today, voted upon by those in the Artie B Discord server. Now, without further ado, our first award. The Best Art Award will go to the game with the most interesting, unique, and generally good-looking art style. Our nominees are Brutal Orchestra, Kingdom 2 Crowns, Curse of Monkey Island, and Oxygen Not Included. And the winner of the Best Art Award goes to Brutal Orchestra. And for the next award, we have the Best Story Award, which will go to the game with the most captivating, well-written story. Our nominees this time are The Walking Dead: The Telltale Definitive Series, Fallout New Vegas, Inscription, and In Sound Mind. And the winner of the Best Story Award is Fallout New Vegas. And now, the most mid-game award, which will go to the most utterly mid-range game, which means not great, but not bad either. Our nominees are The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, Payday 2, Garfield Kart Furious Racing, and Supra Land. The most mid-game award goes to Garfield Kart Furious Racing. And now I'm passing the mic to Sush for our next award.
Alright, this is the most buggy game award, a prestigious honor that is only affiliated with the most consistent and well-programmed experiences. Wink wink. This year's candidates are no exceptions, featuring the likes of Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 76, Garfield Kart, and The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. And the most buggy game award goes to Garfield Kart. Yeah, because Garfield Kart is such a small scope game, it doesn't really have much of really anything to mess up, and thus has less immediately obvious technical shortcomings compared to its other sleazier nominees. That's why there's very little to actually say about this game from a bug-fixated perspective. Anyway, I'll hand this one over to the next award.
Next up, we have the Best Voice Acting Award. This one will go to the game that has the most fitting, well-performed voice actors. Our nominees are Psychonauts, LEGO City Undercover, Curse of Monkey Island, and The Walking Dead, the Telltale Definitive Series. The game with the best voice acting is Curse of Monkey Island. And now for the most controversial award, which will go to the game that has the most controversy around it, whether that be a split fanbase, controversial updates, or anything else. Our nominees are Return to Monkey Island and Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborhoodville. And the most controversial award, in an obvious landslide victory, goes to Return to Monkey Island. And this time, I'll be passing the mic on to Brax for our next award.
The Funniest Game Award will go to the game that's given all of us the most laughs, whether that be the writing, unintentional bugs, or something else. Our nominees are Paradigm, Brutal Orchestra, LEGO City Undercover, and Scribblenauts Unlimited. The winner of the Funniest Game Award is... Insert drumroll here, please. LEGO City Undercover! Congratulations to LEGO City Undercover for winning the Funniest Game Award. Now for Pinecone 34, presenting the next award.
Greetings, I am Pinecone. Most of you will not know me, but today I will be announcing the Hottest Chick Award, which will, of course, go to the most attractive female character from a game. This year's nominees are Bimini from Brutal Orchestra, Arlene from Garfield Kart and Garfield Kart Furious Racing, Beatrix LeBeau from Slime Rancher 2, and Veronica from Fallout New Vegas. And, after viewing the nominees, I'm proud to announce the winner of the Hottest Chick Award is Beatrix LeBeau from Slime Rancher 2. Now back to Remus.
Thank you, Pinecone, but now it's time for the Best Character Award, which is going to go to the best written, most well-defined character for a game. Our nominees for this award are Murray from The Curse of Monkey Island onwards, Scorch from Star Wars Republic Commando, Leshy from Inscription, and Chase McCain from LEGO City Undercover. The winner of the Best Character Award is Murray from The Curse of Monkey Island onwards. And now for one of our more prestigious awards. The Best Indie Game Award will go to the generally best made game by an indie developer. Our nominees for this are Plunder Panic, Oxygen Not Included, In Sound Mind, and Paradigm. And the Best Indie Game Award goes to Oxygen Not Included. And now I'll be passing the mic on to Hyrulean Private for the next award.
The Best Jiggle Physics Award will go to the game that has the bounciest animations. Our nominees this year are Porkeeper and Slime Rancher 2. The winner of the Best Jiggle Physics Award, in another landslide victory, is of course Slime Rancher 2. Now back to Remus.
Thank you, Private. Next up, we have the Most Creative Award, which will go to the game with the most creative and unique concepts and ideas. Our nominees for this award are Scribblenauts Unlimited, Heatstroke, Manual Samuel, and Hot Lava. The most creative award goes to Scribblenauts Unlimited. And now it's time for our last award before we get into the big ones. The Best Game Studio Award will go to the developers or publishers of a large amount of great games. Our nominees for this award are Klei Entertainment, which made Don't Starve Together, Hot Lava, and Oxygen Not Included, LucasArts, which made the Monkey Island series, Devolver Digital, who made Inscription and Return to Monkey Island, and finally Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment, which made Lego City Undercover and Scribblenauts Unlimited. The winner of our Best Game Studio Award goes to Devolver Digital with their games Inscription and Return to Monkey Island. And after looking at the list, those appear to be all of our smaller awards. Congratulations to all the games, people, and game studios that won one. But now, I'm going to hand the mic back to Artie for our biggest awards of the night.
Thanks, Remus. Our final 4 awards are our most prestigious, so let's not waste time and get right into it. First up is the Ebony Eardrum. Soundtracks are an extremely important thing in a game, and having a bad one can really sour the entire experience. But having a good soundtrack can greatly enhance it, which is why the Ebony Eardrum will be going to the game with overall the best soundtrack. Our nominees this year are Brutal Orchestra, Inscription, Plunder Panic, and In Sound Mind. Voted upon by the RTB Discord server, the Ebony Eardrum goes to Inscription. The soundtrack, composed by Jonah Senzel, is super creepy, atmospheric, and at sometimes even pretty boppy. Overall, it's very fitting for Inscription itself and is very well deserved. These next 3 awards were all chosen by myself, rather than being voted on by the general public. Our first one of these awards is the Golden Turd, an award that will go to the most so bad it's good game. There was only one nominee for this one, meaning they win by default, and that nominee was Garfield Kart Furious Racing. While a vast improvement from the first one, Furious Racing still has its fair share of jank, but it's gained a certain reputation over time, making it fully deserving of the Golden Turd Award. Well done, Furious Racing. Our next award is the Dumpster Fire, the award that goes to the single most awful game this year. Game developers, if you're somehow watching this, don't take this one too harshly, it's all in good fun. Anyway, our nominees were Garfield Kart and The Last Hope Trump vs. Mafia. But the Dumpster Fire award goes to, just barely, Garfield Kart. Look, I'm sorry Garfield Kart people, but your game's awful. It looks bad, feels bad, has a slew of bugs, and generally isn't fun to play. You did take this as a learning opportunity, however, and improved on it in every possible way in Garfield Kart Furious Racing. Congratulations, I guess. Now for our final award, the most prestigious award, maybe of all time. The Artie is an award that will go to my personal favourite game of the year. Not necessarily the one that I played for longest, but the one I enjoyed the most. Our nominees are Fallout New Vegas, Brutal Orchestra, Paradigm, and Inscription. This was an incredibly tricky decision. It required hours and hours of thinking, but I finally came to the conclusion. The winner of the prestigious Artie is Brutal Orchestra. With its incredible art style, amazing music, super fun gameplay, and spectacular writing, I found I was unable to stop myself from playing this game over and over and over again, even when I'd already beaten it more than twice. Congratulations, Brutal Orchestra, on your incredible win. And that's all for tonight, folks. I hope you've enjoyed my reviews and awards ceremony, and hope you'll like it enough to allow me to do this again next year. I hope you had a Merry Christmas, and I wish you all a Happy New Year and an amazing 2023. Oh, and I'd like to thank Remus Official and all of the other special guests for hosting the Things of the Year Awards ceremony. You can find all of their links down in the description. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you at some point in the future. Goodbye.